The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rowlands in for Vinnie Politan. Tonight for closing arguments, if you're just joining us, Donna Adelson has gone down. Found guilty on all 3 counts against her. She was shocked when she heard the verdict. Right now, though, we want to head back to that courtroom in Leon County, Florida, because we're hearing the victim impact statements. We're going to pick it up right where we left off last hour with Ruth Markel. This is the mom of the victim in this case. Let's go back in.
Dan was the boy's hero, and they have been forced to grow up without a father. Dan's murder has shattered our family and caused deep permanent pain. This was a particularly senseless crime, and the murder was particularly insensible. It was not revenge. Dan was a law-abiding and respectful citizen, an active father, and a living son. His life was devoted to teaching and helping others. The pain and suffering of Dan's murder goes well beyond other families, too. That is why I wrote the book, The Unveiling, A Mother's Reflection on Murder, Grief, and Trial Life. In my unrelenting grief, I turned to advocacy, to feel purpose, and to help others with these tragic losses. I have found meaning and comfort to connect with others who want to serve justice. To all the community of journalists, TV programs, podcasters, Tallahassee communities, and the allies who have put their hearts in keeping Danny's story alive, we are full of thanks. To law enforcement and prosecutors, our gratitude is beyond for their dedicated, careful perseverance in seeking justice for Danny and our family. If Tallahassee is known for football, Tallahassee should be known for the prosecution and for law enforcement. They have done an outstanding job. These extraordinary efforts underscore the brutal truth of our family's story. Danny's murder was orchestrated by his former mother-in-law, Donna Adelson, and other co-conspirators, and is a crime of cruelty. It is a murder of grief, a murder of selfishly prioritizing one's own desires over what is just or right. And at its core, this was a murder of convenience, so that one grandmother could live closer to her grandchildren. She killed their father and ripped the children from the other grandparents' lives. Donna Adelson's crimes against Dan began long before his murder. She belittled Dan in front of his children. She spread lies about it and contributed to a brutal separation between Dan and Wendy. She rented the house, and Dan came home, and he found that Wendy and the boys were gone with most of their belongings. He called this devastation Pearl Harbor. Donna's eagerness for Wendy to divorce Dan and to relocate to South Florida led her to increasingly devise desperate schemes. Despite these efforts, the court ruled that Wendy could not move the boys away from their loving father. Failing to achieve her goal through legal means, Donna finally resorted to orchestrating Dan's murder. She plotted, planned, and paid for his murder. Donna's crimes led to further devastation. Her middle son, Charlie, was convicted and sentenced to a life in prison for his role in facilitating Danny's murder for hire. Can you imagine a mother involving a son to complete a murder? Donna's eldest son, Rob, an honest and decent man, is estranged from the family. And her younger child, Wendy, has decided once again to relocate to another state. Her actions and those of her co-conspirators have caused children to lose their parents. Catherine McBanowitz, Freda Garcia, and Charlie Adelson, also convicted, are all convicted for life and have lost access to their children. Prior to her arrest, Donna's recorded phone calls with Charlie reveal their lack of a moral compass or capacity for self-reflection. She blames external forces for her family's curse. They're outside of her, but she is the curse, and lashes out angrily at witnesses who took the brave step to testify. Her modus operandi has always been to run from Tallahassee and then to try to flee to Vietnam. For our family, there is no such prospect for escape. Danny's absence, and that leaves a hole at the center of our lives, no matter where we go. Yet Dan's murder was not enough for Donna. His death was not enough. Danny had to be fully erased from his beloved sons. The boy's last name was ever changed, an extraordinary decision to excise the Markel name from Phil's only grandsons who shared his last name. And after the first arrests were made, Donna didn't allow the Markel family to have access for over 6 years. It was only when there was a phenomenal Tallahassee advocacy group that passed the Markel Act. The passage of this bill was immediately followed by our first invitation to see the boys after the arrest. The door only cracked open. Despite these efforts, we remain excluded from the boys' lives. We were not at their bar mitzvahs or graduations. We have extremely highly choreographed visits and communications. We only wait for the day that Benjamin and Lincoln will visit their father and his grave in his father's history and his grave in Toronto. We want nothing more. The facts of Danny's murder, are difficult to swallow. The experiences Phil, Shelley, and I have been forced to suffer are profound as homicide survivors and victims of the criminal system. The lives of Danny's 2 sons, our grandchildren, were forever turned upside down by this crime. Benjamin and Lincoln were only preschoolers when their father was murdered, and now they are forced to confront and try to understand the unthinkable crimes of murder and the Adelsons' involvement. Our lives will never return to normal. For those who loved Danny and for those who Danny loved, there is no escape from the wicked effects of what Donna Adelson set in motion, carried out, and paid for, and for many years enjoyed the aftermath of. Donna Adelson has caused immense devastation and an untimely, undeserved murder through her actions. While no trial or verdict can ever heal the profound wounds caused by Dan's murder, justice must be served. I respectfully ask the court to impose the maximum sentence on Donna Adelson. Her lack of cooperation and remorse throughout the case demands justice, the justice that Dan's life and memory fully deserve. We are immensely grateful to the court for its careful and compassionate deliberation. Respectively, Ruth Markel.
Thank you, Ms. Markel. Are there any other victim impact statements this evening?
One more, Judge.
If you please could tell us your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Phil Markel. I'm Danny's father. Judge Everett, I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the impact of Donna Adelson's actions on my families and the families of so many others. While this victim impact statement is addressed to you, Your Honor, it is also intended for the Adelson family, Harvey, Charlie, Wendy, and particularly Donna. I would like them to understand and reflect on the deep and irreparable damage they have caused. The pain that they have caused my family is obvious and permanent, but they have also caused lifelong harm to their own immediate family and so many other families and children around. Donna's selfishness, cruelty, and complete disrespect for human life, along with that of her co-conspirators, have left families forever broken. Louis Rivera, his children have no father. Catherine Magbanoa and Sigfredo Garcia, their children have no parents. Charlie Adelson, his son, Robynn, has no father. Rob Adelson and his wife and their 2 children have lost their uncle and grandparents. Shelley and Ian, my daughter, their 3 children, my grandchildren, are left without an uncle and are separated from their cousins. Of course, their heinous and callous actions have left me, Ruth, and Shelley without our Danny, and Ben and Lincoln without their father. For anyone to commit such a cold-blooded, unprovoked act of murder is horrific. For Donna, someone who claims to care so much about Ben and Lincoln, her sun shines. Her actions are beyond comprehension. She has harmed forever the people she claims to have loved. In the Jewish custom, we have an expression to always wish others to live to 120 years of age. For Donna, I wish her to live to 120, alone in her jail cell. I wish that every day of her remaining days, she thinks about the harm she has caused to so many, especially those 2 boys she claims to have loved so much. For these reasons, Your Honor, I ask the court sentence Donna Adelson to the maximum possible sentence. And my only short question to Donna, was it worth it? Respectfully, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Markel. Are there any other matters that the court needs to address this evening, Ms. Koppelman?
No, Your Honor.
With the PSI being ordered, the court will pronounce the sentence as to counts 2 and 3 after it's been completed. The parties have had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigation report and make any objections if they believe they need to. As to the 3 counts that the jury has found the defendant guilty of, I will adjudicate her guilty at this time, but the sentence will be pronounced as to the 3 counts at a later date. She is remanded for sentencing at this time. Lieutenant Henry, please notify the commander at the jail that the appropriate screening needs to take place to ensure that the defendant is in an area where she is not subject to any self-harm. For a case management date coming up, what would the parties request?
Ms. Dugan's October court date, Your Honor.
I believe that is 10/14. Is that correct, Ms. Dugan?
Yes, sir.
October 14th for case management at 2:30 p.m. That will be in the normal courtroom 3B. Patricia, if you can make sure that the notice goes to DOC so they are aware that the PSI needs to be completed as soon as possible.
I've already sent it, Judge.
Thank you. We are in recess at this time. We will reconvene on October 14th. Have a good evening, everyone.
Well, there you have it. There she is, surrounded now by deputies. Harvey in the background, no chance to talk to Donna. She's been whisked off back to the Leon County Jail. She'll be back in court in October 14th. There's Judge Everett. He was stern today. There she goes. Wow. That was something else. Donna Adelson found guilty on all counts. the Markels with some mic drop moments. We've got a lot to digest. We're going to talk with the prosecutor, the lead prosecutor, Georgia Kappelman. Our Julia Janae has her ready to go. We'll get a break. Much more of our coverage of the verdict of Donna Adelson continues on Closing Arguments.
The Court TV podcast will return.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count one of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Mrs. Adelson, control yourself. Count two. We, the jury, find as follows as to count two of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count three. We, the jury, find as follows as to count three of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And it is signed and dated by the foreperson.
Oh, hey, there you have it. If you're just joining us, that was the breaking news. Donna Adelson going down, all three counts found guilty, and boy, what a reaction she had. Shocked. She was absolutely shocked when she heard the word guilty after that first count of first-degree murder came down. After the sentencing came down, we heard from the Markels, from Ruth first, and boy, did she lay it on with Donna. And then it was Phil's turn. And he just took the baton and went at her and really cut her with their point of view. And as Phil walked out, he gave a look over to the table at Donna. And that was it. They took her away. She'll be back in court October 14th for case management. And then it'll be off to the Department of Corrections, where she'll spend the rest of her life at 75 years old. That's pretty safe to say, in prison. Now, after they delivered those, not even scathing, those very thoughtful victim impact statements, the Markel family talked to our Julia Janae outside the courtroom. Let's watch that right now.
First of all, I just want to say it's been 11 hard years. And I have a lot of people to thank. With the prosecution, the law enforcement, they've hung in with us from day one. And like I said, the Tallahassee is known for football. I think it's better known for prosecution and law enforcement skills and high standards of delivery of an excellent practice. Tonight, we have a lot of people to be grateful for. I've often said my life is full of two words: trauma and gifts. Tonight, I'll talk about, I said the trauma inside. The loss of Danny Markel is a great loss for all of us. And the gifts are all the people who've supported us, our allies from FSU University, the Tallahassee community, and all of you in the media, of which we've had tremendous support. Social media, podcasters, print, and all other aspects of helping us produce and deliver this very important communication. So thank you. We are grateful.
Ruth, you mentioned the Markel Act in your comments, and I know so many people are wondering, will the Markel family be able to enjoy the protections of the Markel Act that is named for Dan?
Well, the Markel Act actually it's specific to, just to answer the question very specifically, it's part of having a civil or a criminal offense against the spouse of a person who has been deceased. We have had access because of the Markel Act. So as it was passed, it opened up. Wendy had invited us to the bar mitzvahs. We had a little bit of an opportunity to have communications and some visits, but they're highly choreographed. It's not a natural process. We are looking for when we can communicate via email, via phone. We have everything is done still through Wendy's devices, let's call it, and time frames. So we're looking for a more natural opportunity.
Ms. Markel, do you believe that everyone who participated in this crime has been held accountable?
I'll let other people in my family talk about that.
Okay.
Well, first of all, just one little side thing. We were originally invited to the first bar mitzvah, and then we were disinvited from it. So, just to clarify. My comments. First of all, I'm very, very grateful to the jury. They were very attentive. I watched them carefully. They listened. They obviously analyzed and came to a just decision. We're grateful to the judge for his patience and his guidance, and that everybody followed the law, etc. We're grateful to all of you guys here. I can't begin to tell you. I always, to me, journalists were never, they're into just to post stuff in the papers, TV or whatever. But you guys have really, really, it's been 11 years. You've supported us. And because of you, this case never went cold. And I can't believe people stop me when I'm in Dillard's or I'm in the wine store or at a restaurant. My claim to fame, unfortunately, is I'm Dan's dad. But it's so heartwarming to see this community, the people, and because of you around the world, there aren't enough words to tell you how grateful we all are. This is, even though it's joyful or I'm happy decision that's come out, it's still very, very difficult. And we still don't have the full access to the boys that we'd love to have. They're very, very controlled, very short, and very far and few between. And it's, we just want anybody and everybody who had anything to do with Dan's death brought to justice. And until that day happens, I will not be fully a happy individual.
And Phil, one of the, I think it's safe to say, one of the star witnesses in this trial was Rob Adelson. What was it like for you to watch him up there testifying for the government?
Rob Adelson and I have, we actually haven't seen each other for a long time, but we do communicate via text, telephone, etc. He is an incredible individual. How this guy happened to come out of this family is beyond my understanding.
I think we respect his bravery and his courage in doing what he did, and we really, we'll be very honored to see him and connect with him, but in particular, we really respect his courage.
And Phil or Shelley can answer this. Did this one feel different? You had the hitmen who were prosecuted. You had Magbanawa, but now father to mother-in-law. There's a different kind of relationship between those two. To see her there getting found guilty, what was that like?
I have to think how to answer that question. It's hard. Each one is very gratifying, obviously, and we're happy with the results. This one hurts, I think, a little more because of who it is. I made a very short little speech, but I think what I did differently this time is the harm to families, not just only ours, but to everybody involved in this mess. And so many children without parents, without uncles, aunts, cousins, etc. It's so hard to understand. She was an educated individual. She was a kindergarten teacher. Where did this come from? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure this out.
I was just going to add that there is a certain satisfaction in this verdict, despite the fact that anyone going to jail is a hard thing to imagine, and obviously hard to it's emotional, but I would say there's satisfaction in this verdict, and I would say that we're hopeful, really hopeful, that this will open the door for the future generations to, connect, for the cousins to connect, for, rebuilding a relationship with my nephews, their grandchildren, my children's cousins. This is, we hope that this will shed light. This will be the sort of element of truth that will be there for them to see. It'll be on the record for those kids to know in the future, and we would, welcome the opportunity to reconnect.
And Shelley, what do you think Dan would say today watching his parents up there giving such eloquent, amazing victim impact statements, particularly Phil's last question?
I think he'd be really proud. Danny was one to do presentations. He was the, really amazing writer in our family, and I think his parents, would have made him very proud.
One question, what were the thoughts that went through your mind as you saw the defense strategy develop to kind of embrace the evidence against the daughter and the son? A mother, in essence, throwing their kids under the bus and acting as a prosecutor for the defense attorneys and calling them Markel Danny and all the stuff that they tried to embrace the evidence and pretend that they cared so much about what happened to Dan Markel.
Maybe those are better questions for the state's attorney.
Yeah, but I think the defense had to do their job, and I think that we have really looked at all the sides of the story, and thank you again. Thank you all.
We're very lucky that the state's attorneys and their team did such an amazing job in all of that. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for answering our questions. Thank you. It's a long day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
All right, there it is. The Markel family addressing the members of the media, including our Julia Janae, who we'll be talking to in a bit to get her reaction. She was in the courtroom during this verdict. Again, Donna Adelson found guilty on all 3 counts. We'll get a break, and then they were just talking about the state's attorneys, that team. They've won again. There she is, Georgia Kappelman. We'll hear what she has to say when we return.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Welcome back to Closing Arguments. I'm Ted Rollins in for Vinnie Politan tonight. What a night it has been. We have just watched Donna Adelson go down. All 3 counts against her. She was found guilty, and she reacted to the verdicts tonight. We watched her reaction in the courtroom, and then we listened to the Markel family. One of the themes that they had, both during their allocution, their victim impact statement to the court, and afterwards, was they were appreciative. They were appreciative for justice, and specifically for the team that delivered the justice. And leading that team is Georgia Kappelman. She's the prosecutor that not only led the way this time around, but she was the attorney in the case against the hitmen, McBanawa, Charlie, and now Donna. And now she is addressing the media, including our Julia Janae, outside of the courtroom.
Here they come.
Because we jumped the gun. We didn't let you take a moment and think about this and ask you about this. So before we ask you the question that's on a lot of people's mind, what's it like in this moment? What was it like to have this defendant be found guilty?
I think I just feel kind of honored to be able to deliver this win for the Markels. We've heard so much about a win for the Adelsons, a win for the Adelsons, and everything that was lost in those efforts. So it's just been really cool to be a part of this win.
During one of the pre-trials, you said these trials that have become my life. It's a lot of trials at this point. Talk about what happens when you're a prosecutor and you have to continue to follow cases like this one.
Well, I do have other cases. People don't know that. There are other cases in this office. And I care about, all of them, but obviously this has become sort of a part of my DNA after investing so much blood, sweat, and tears into this case and getting justice. So yeah, it's been an epic battle.
Was this one tougher than Charlie's trial?
I don't know. I mean, I'm older, so I think it is. I think everyone is tougher than the last. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, more time passes and there's more stuff. There's more phones. There's more records. There's more emails. So it's a lot to organize, and it's a lot of little pieces to try to put together and try to create something cognizable that a jury can follow and get their head around.
In Georgia, opening statements right out of the gate, Jackie Fulford appropriated Professor Markel's nickname, calling him Danny. A lot of people were upset about that. Did that bother you?
Not as much as it bothered some other folks. I understood what she was trying to do. It was not the classiest move, and I think she kind of realized that and seemed to correct that over the course of the trial. But yeah, probably not a great move.
And what about the amount of deliberations? It's roughly the same as Charlie, maybe a few minutes more, but not much. That surprised you? Because some people were predicting a longer deliberation.
A little bit. I actually lost. I thought it would be slightly shorter, but I was being pretty ambitious. But yeah, it wouldn't have surprised me if it had been more difficult for them, because it was a large puzzle that kind of had to be put together. But I guess they got what they needed, and they knew what they had to do.
Will this be the last prosecution, sir?
You are asking the question. Why are you that guy?
Were you surprised by the defense strategy of throwing Wendy and Charlie under the bus? And was the adoptive admissions ruling something that you pre-planned, or something that you all came up with at the last moment?
We had a few incarnations of how to deal with the fact that she had adopted Charlie's really ridiculous story previously, and we didn't want her to be able to distance herself from that and create a new, better defense, which she did seem to kind of try to be doing. So we did want to try to shove that on her, and then try to explain that to the jury. Okay, here's this whole other defense that she already adopted, and it's complicated, and it has all its pushback that goes with it. So it did feel like a difficult minefield to wade through to be able to explain all that to the jury, but we wanted to make sure they understood that, hey, she's already committed to this defense that's a loser, and now she's trying to switch it up and go to this whole other place, and you've got to pick a lane. It can't be both. So I think that's kind of what we were trying to do, so hopefully we were successful.
It sounded like the new investigation developed a lot of crazy evidence, including y'all were planning to use some phone calls that you were not able to use at the trial. Is the sealing of this evidence going to be unsealed once now that Donna has been convicted, or do you know?
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I don't know.
And you cannot still comment, I guess, about
I think
the
not,
details.
since it's sealed, right? Yeah.
All right, no comments about.
Than you imagine it to be, but I don't think I should comment on it since it's sealed by the court
How
at
did
this
you
time.
feel when you found out that Donna was not going to be testifying? Something tells me you were probably salivating.
I don't know about salivating. Yeah, it's not like I was gonna wow you guys with some amazing new stuff or anything, but I did put tons of preparation into that, so I was a little bit sad when I took my binder that had 110 tabs and packed it away. So yeah, I was a little surprised. She seems like somebody that would want to tell her story, but it gets trickier and trickier when all these stories are out there, and she would have had to navigate a lot of stuff to get up there. So I do understand why she made the decision she did, and I think it was a smart one, but I was kind of expecting her to testify.
What was the
ago
evidence that you thought in this trial might have made a difference that what you came across that you introduced?
I think the fleeing to Vietnam didn't hurt, especially since she denied it. She could have just said, yeah, I went to Vietnam. I didn't want to get arrested. But she didn't do that. She oversold, so that was helpful.
The license and the planner.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? How did you guys find that? Was it an aha moment?
Yeah. Kind of dumb luck. That thing is so dense, and there's a bunch of them, so we've just been sort of perusing them, and yeah, somebody just stumbled upon it and had an aha moment.
What about Rob Adelson's testimony? How key was that?
I think it was important, didn't you? I thought he was so genuine, and what a guy to be able to do that, what a terrible situation for him to be put in, and to be able to rise above that and do the right thing. It's really impressive.
Did you all wait for this trial to put him on? Why did he not testify previously?
I just didn't want to do it to him unless I felt like it was absolutely necessary, and I really felt like we needed him in this one.
Georgia, does Wendy have reason to be worried tonight?
You said that word. That's a bad word.
A bad word.
No W questions.
Worry's a bad word?
Well, last time.
Should we say stay
Worry.
tuned? Do we need to stay tuned?
I mean, you can stay tuned.
One other question for me. I mean, your father played football. I understand. It was my first Knowles game, and I take all the credit.
Oh, it was a great one.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Take all the credit
Go
for that.
Knowles.
And I found out maybe through the grapevine that someone else in your family is a professional female golfer, or that you're close to. I don't know if I'm right about that. Maybe not, but do you get the...
It sounds cool.
Do you think you get that competitive spirit from, from your dad, from your family?
Yes, I think both sides of my family are extremely competitive, and if you came to game night, you would see some pieces being thrown around the room, and yeah.
The most important question, do you have a fifth red suit?
I don't know. I'll work on that. I'll work on that.
Number 5 of 5.
I'll work on that for you.
Georgia, can I ask you about Charlie Adelson? Last year you were going, it seemed like the state was going to call him, and ultimately this time around no one called him to the stand. Why?
Because we didn't want to tangle with him unless we had to, and we felt like we were able to successfully get out the story that he told at his trial and marry Donna to it as much as we needed to without having to wrangle and tangle with him.
If I'm not mistaken, this was the first trial where you guys were able to access WhatsApp messages. Was there a new am I right about that? Was there a new technological
I can't
advance?
remember if we had any WhatsApp messages last time, but they are encrypted, so you really do have to get them off the device itself. So we were able to retrieve some threads from Donna's device.
From Donna's device.
Yeah.
Was your all's case more polished? The demonstratives seem to be up a notch from before.
Yes, that's because I didn't make them. I only directed. I did get some wonderful volunteer help, so I don't know if she wants a shout out or not, but yeah.
Were there other things that were new and improved? Some of the witnesses even seem to be testifying a little smoother than before.
I don't know. Or did they? I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's a blur.
If the trial had come
It's all
forward-
one long day.
If the trial had come forward a year ago, you wouldn't have all the evidence from the new investigation. How significant was to have that note from Drina Bernhardt?
Oh man, I thought it was great.
All right, Georgia Kappelman, there she is. Boy, round of applause when she walked out of the courtroom. Let's bring our think tank. We haven't had any reaction yet. Richard Grundy standing by along with Josh Coles-Rude and Joanne Nevis. All right, guys, thoughts? Was justice served? Richard, you first.
I think it was a huge day for justice. You know, my heart and soul lies still with the 20 years I spent as a prosecutor. Rarely do you see into how much work can go into a prosecution. And in this situation, you know, internally in your own office to push a case forward that's difficult. They are not all slam dunks, but your bosses all expect you to bring home, if it's a murder charge, to bring home that verdict. So to go that extra mile, to piece this case together, there are profiles and courage all over this office, these prosecutors, the officers that work for them. Rob Adelson. That's what our court system is about. Can you imagine the situation that person was in? But when he got up there, he shone a light on his mother that clearly had to impress that jury. So I think it really shows what these things are about. And then you look at the defendants. These are not people facing any struggles in their lives. They're not dealing with weaknesses, whether it be financial, mental, or physical, and destroyed a man's life. These are the kind of cases that really make us appreciate the system of justice we have, and it takes hard work and toil. Congratulations.
Yeah, and that round of applause was something else. Josh, your thoughts on this win for the state of Florida, and do you think, she didn't address it, Wendy might be next? Oh, muted. I think Josh is muted there. He can't hear us. While Josh unmutes, Joanne, your thoughts?
Hey, Ted. Yeah, I think justice was definitely served here. You know, I went to Florida State. Actually, Dan Markel was my law professor. And so I've been sitting on the edge of my seat waiting to see what happens with each of these convictions over the years. And I think that Georgia did a great job, you know, putting the pieces together with this one, it was a tough sell, to start with, because there wasn't a lot of evidence on the front end of, her interactions and her culpability from direct involvement. But she pieced together a lot of that motive work and, her actions, her consciousness of guilt afterwards, and painted that story for the jury that, the defense just couldn't create the doubt with this, trying to sell that she's this sweet grandma that loves her grandchildren, 75 years old, used to be a teacher, but at the end of the day, she was contrived, she scripted things, she designed motions, she had a lot of control, and I think that they painted a good picture that convinced the jury and secured the verdict that we see here today.
Yeah, justice for your old professor. I love that. Josh, your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. This is a huge win for the prosecution. I think they started out a little slow, but that closing argument by Georgia was amazing. Now, I think that the defense shot itself in the foot a couple of times. This was a circumstantial case, and the defense did what the defenses always do. They pointed out what was missing. They reminded the jury that there was no confession, no email, no recording of Donna, like no order to kill. But what they didn't do was they didn't humanize Donna. They didn't remind the jury that she is a 75-year-old woman. And, people love stories. And when you only point out what is missing, there's a vacuum. And when there's a vacuum, that's not good, because you need to be able to show the jury a compelling story about why you're right. And I just didn't see that the defense really did that in this case. Now, they didn't need to put on Donna as a witness, but they certainly needed to bring on witnesses to explain away the checks and the phone call.
Yeah, and try to humanize her. You're right. And they attempted with a couple witnesses. It just didn't hit. We need to get a break. When we come back, we're going to reveal something else you need to know. Plus, our coverage continues. Donna Adelson, guilty on all counts. Stay with us.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
All right, time for something else you need to know. And you might be thinking, where's Vinnie? Where's Vinnie tonight? Well, that's what we're going to tell you. He's going to CrimeCon. He took his Learjet out to Colorado, and that's where he's going to be live from tomorrow. From Denver, CrimeCon special on Court TV starting at 8 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock, a huge guest, Colby Ryan. Lori Vallow-Daybell's surviving son is going to join Vinnie, and they're going to talk about his mother's multiple trials. 9 o'clock Eastern is the interview. 8 o'clock Eastern is when Vinnie kicks it off live from CrimeCon. Before we go, take a look at this picture. We need to show you. This is Serenity Curtis. She's 16. Last seen in Youngstown, Ohio. If you have any information on where Serenity might be tonight, call the Youngstown Police Department, or you can call 911, or of course wait 1-800-THE-LOST. Let's see if we can get her to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime tonight with a special hour of closing arguments as we continue to react to the guilty verdicts against Donna Adelson. Stay with us.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.